Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the instant match reaction to Crystal Palace 0, Everton 1. Great result today. Really important that we picked up where we left off last week in terms of points. Last week was such a good performance, and we had to make sure we followed it up this week with a big 3 points, and that's what we've gone and done. The performance wasn't as slick as last week. It wasn't as exciting as last week in terms of the attack and football, but we've done what was required and we've dug in and got the 3 points. The Ronald Koeman picked the same side that had took Manchester City apart last week. I thought that potentially myself and Ped had talked about that, Schneiderlin coming into the side maybe at the expense of Gareth Barry to try and give us a bit more energy. But he went with the 11 that started the game last week, and I don't think anybody could really argue with that. It was such a good performance. There was a lot of talk that Stekelenburg had come back in, but why would he? There's literally no reason at all that you will put Stekelenburg back into this side. Joel has been excellent since he come in. Okay, people have still got question marks about him, but he's a good goalie. He's a good keeper, and I'm not saying he's the number one forever, but the more games he plays, the confidence flows. The defenders have got a better understanding with him. He comes and takes crosses. He gives everyone more confidence. Why would you take him out the side? Ronald Koeman didn't take him out the side. So we were always going to be up against it today in terms of them getting the ball into Benteke, who normally has an excellent game against us. I think one of the stats was he's got 5 goals in his last 6 games against Everton. And that was always going to be a focal point of Crystal Palace's attack, and it was always going to be something we had to be wary of. And I felt Crystal Palace started the game really, really well. To be honest, I thought they got about us. Certainly the first 10 minutes, we were struggling to get out of our own half. They were playing that diagonal ball onto Seamus Coleman, which he doesn't like, and they were picking things off. And Benteke hit the bar. And if that goes in, it'd be a totally different game. It was a lovely cross. I think it might have been Cabaye that put the cross in, and he's flicked it, with his head. It's come off the bar. And we've breathed easily, really, in terms of being able to defend that. And then slowly but surely, we started to get our foot on the ball and started to move Crystal Palace around a little bit. And our first real sighted of goal was the Kevin Morales shot, which Wayne Hennessy pulls an absolute worldie of a save out. It was a brilliant save, good play from Morales, lovely first touch, great volley, and Hennessy gets down and makes an excellent save. And that was our first real shot and first real intention in the game. And from there, we just took over. We were in control. We knocked it around. We had the ball in the back of the net. Romelu Lukaku had a shot which hit the inside of Hennessy's post and come out. Ross Barkley took the ball in the back of the net, but he was offside. We then had Funes Mori done a brilliant bit of skill in the box off a corner, and Hennessy produces another worldie of a save. I don't know how he saved it, to be honest. We then had a Ross Barkley run where he's got round 2 or 3 and hit it with his left foot, and the keeper's made a brilliant save, or it deflected over rather. And so, we had Crystal Palace on the back foot. They defended solidly like they do, and we were in control. We were wary of them. They had dangerous players punching, like Remy. Was caught making a nuisance of himself. Where's he been, by the way? Because he's a good player. Why is he not? I'm sure they said it was his first start of the season, or he hadn't had many starts, and you would have thought he'd be playing quite a lot because him and Benteke looked a handful. But in general, Everton were in control. We got to half time. It was quite a tight game, and we came out in the second half, and we got on top in the second half of the game. We got back on the ball. We were the team doing the pressing. Yes, they were. They always carry the threat with set pieces, which you'd expect from a Big Sam team. They'll work hard for them. I don't think they'll be in much trouble. I think he'll have them well organised, and they'll start to get some results because they've got some decent players. But I thought Everton, it was good. We dug in. Tom Davies got better and better as the game went on. He's got that little bit of know-how of how to play the game, that he just knows about it. How to get free kicks, how to waste a little bit of time if need be. And my only real gripe was Anthony Taylor at times. Just some of the free kicks he let Palace have, and then the same had happened at the other end, and he'd leave, it would just waver away. He was just a little bit. He wasn't terrible, but he was just. You just think, what are these officials paid for? But as the game went on, Morgan Schneiderlin came on for Gareth Barry. I think that was the right decision. Decided to give us that little bit extra energy in midfield, and we did. We pushed Palace back a little bit more. But it was, we'd had Ross Barkley had a good shot with Hennessy, made another good save from. James Coleman had a cut inside and had a good shot. Romelu Lukaku headed one over. And you start looking then and thinking, well, is this going to be one of those days when, we've been in total control? Yes, they've always carried the threat of set pieces, but we've been a team pressing, we've been a team attacking. And if we want to try and catch those better sides, the top six, the teams that have been more consistent than we have, this is a game we really need to win. 20 minutes to go, he replaced Kevin Morales with Ademola Lookman. And Lookman immediately just got into the game like that. He had almost his first touch. He went past a couple, knocked it into Rom, lovely little round the corner. Lookman has a shot. Hennessy saves, a comfortable save. But that first real moment of this kid can give us that little bit extra. He danced around them 3 or 4 times, and we looked as though we were getting in, and Crystal Palace were finding themselves further and further and further back. We then had a cross. I think it was Coleman stands it up to the back post, and I don't know how it goes in. It ricochets around. Baines, he can't put his foot in it, and then you're always fearful of them getting that one chance. The commentary team, what was his name? Taphouse or something. Gary Taphouse. He was him and Andy Insley. They're going on about Palace not having an attempt on target, and they'll get one at some stage. They get a free kick, which is a cheap free kick. It comes in, Scott Dan, brilliant header, and Joel, at full stretch, makes a wonderful save, pushes it round the post for the corner. And that's the threat. But just after that, they started trying to play that ball inside Coleman when he hasn't got a clue what's around him. And, it's Schlupp goes on a run, good tackle. He goes down for cramp off the pitch. The ball stays in, Everton break. They're booing, they want the ball put out. Now, there was a moment as we had the ball where our players are kind of looking as if to say, do we knock this out? No, we don't knock it out. Them days are gone. Let's be winners. He hasn't got a head injury. He hasn't got a serious injury. He's just stretched. That's it. And he's off the pitch and he's crawled back onto the pitch. We keep the ball. We're knocking it around side to side. We get it into Tom Davies. Who else? He takes a lovely little feed. Seamus Coleman, brilliant run, out of his feet. Actually takes it a little bit wide, his touch, and smashes it into the roof of the net. And we get our just rewards. They're not happy, although I don't know why, because Schlupp was off it wouldn't have made any difference. It's in the roof of the net, and we're winning 1-0. And that's what we want to see. We want to see key moments. We want to see this Everton team thinking about how to buy time, how to be clinical. When we're ahead, we slow it down, we knock it out, we break the game up. And we had to defend resolutely for the last, it ended up being about 9 minutes with all he added on time that Anthony Taylor, kept going. And we battled for it. Joel has to tip another one over, although he probably could have just left it. A Benteke header. And we got a couple of good blocks in, and he's come twice in injury time. Joel's come for crosses, nice and big, caught it, dropped down onto the ball. Good, really, really good goalkeeping. And the referee blows the whistle, and we've won an absolutely massive game. We've won a really big game because this was the game. We sat in the studio, myself and Ped, on Monday, and we spoke, waxed lyrical about how fantastic Everton were on Sunday, and it was a real thrill to see them smash your top side. But you're always looking at this Palace game and thinking, this is Big Sam, he's not won a league game yet. We know what he's going to do. Benteke at that 5 and 6, like I said before, against us. So that threat is always there, and you're going, this is Everton now, and normally what follows a great result follows a kick in the sack. And so for us to win it is fantastic. Manchester United have drawn at Stoke, so that we pulled another 2 points back on them. So the other week, we went out against Leicester. We were 9 behind United. Everyone said, top 6 done, it's finished. But the season's over, it's pointless now. We pulled 4 points back on Manchester United in 6 days, and it's back to 5 points. Now, I'm not saying we can break into the top 6, and we will. I'm not saying we will. We can. We most definitely can. you know. And so we've clawed that back, you know. We were, for the fantasists, we were 14 points behind Liverpool when we lost the Merseyside derby. We're now 9. You know, yeah, they'll start winning a game. We know they will, but all I'm trying to say is you can't throw the towel in. There's still 16 Premier League games left. We've won 10 now of our 20 of our games that we played. About 22 games, we've won 10 of them. So we're starting to pick up a little bit of momentum. I think Ronald Koeman would like the shape that we had. Or at the end of the game, when you're looking back at it, they've not really had anything. They've had a header that's hit the bar, to be fair, and we had the save by Joel from Scott Dan's header. Other than that, they've not really troubled us. And so we've come out, you know, with a clean sheet, and that's vital as well. I thought Ashley Williams defended brilliantly well. Funes Mori was good at times, and he's good in a battle, isn't he? But his awareness, there was one in the first half where Remy just runs off him and he doesn't even know he's there, and Joel has to come out and gather it, and you're thinking, that's basic. You're marking him. If you watch his starting position, Remy's here. He's in front of him. He just runs behind him, and Murray doesn't know he's there. And you're like, that is basic, and that's what will decide and define him as a defender, whether he's a good defender or whether he's one of those defenders that will have a good game, but he'll get done because he goes asleep. Mason Holgate, I thought he coped really well. He put a little bit of a cruncher in on Cabai. I thought he got the ball. Anthony Taylor booked him for it, and yet Punchin and MacArthur and Benteke, I think they all ended up with about 8 fouls each that they committed, and I don't think any of them got booked. But I thought Mason Holgate recovered really well from that booking in the first half. Tom Davies, like I say, got better and better. It wasn't as sparkling display as it was last week, but it was industrious, and he's come up with the key pass in the whole game that has released Seamus Coleman. Ross Barkley, I thought, worked hard, produced a couple of great moments in the game. Just his finish let him down. Twice he got in on a lovely little run towards the end and dragged the shot wide, but he was always a threat. So it was a more solid team display. I don't think there was, the man of the match. I'm going to have a little think to do the ratings on who would give that to. But, in that 3-5-2, I think Seamus Coleman is much, much better as a wing-back. I think in a 4 at right-back, he can be a little bit of a liability because he still doesn't know what's here. His awareness is shocking. But going forward in that role, he's a constant threat, isn't he? When he just gets his head down and goes, and he doesn't have to worry about that so much because he's got Holgate behind him. I think he's freer, and it's not as if the two of them are running the same spaces. So I think him and Baines really enjoy it. This 3-5-2, I'd leave it till the end of the season. Now we've got the personnel to play it. Up front, I thought Lukaku battled away. Thought he had a decent game run. I thought Kevin Morales didn't do anything really, which is a bit frustrating because he was so good last week. He had that one real shot in the first half, and that was kind of it. I don't know whether it was Koeman's instruction or whether it was just him trying to get in the game. He dropped off too much and became lost almost in the midfield, and Ron was isolated. But we've gone and won the game. It was a big win. It was a win that we felt we had to win. A game we felt we had to win. We go to Stoke now, which is going to be a really, really tough game. But we were to get a point there, then I think that's a decent return from those 2 tricky away games, and then Bournemouth at home the following Saturday. So we've got a 10-day rest now. Where hopefully the board, Steve Walsh, Ronald Koeman, will be busy over the next 10 days. Just another couple to come in and fine tune it. And then let's see where we go then. Stoke away, like I say, next game. And that's what all the focus will turn to now. So, an excellent win. Great 3 points on the road at Crystal Palace. Believe it or not, that's our 4th game since they got promoted at Selhurst Park, and they've not scored a goal there, which is a bit of a mad stat because we don't really beat them at home. We've had 2 wins and 2 draws down there, and at Goodison, I don't think we've beat them since they come back up, have we? So, bit of a we win at their ground and they win at ours. Although it was a draw, wasn't it? Goodison this year. But anyway, I've waffled on long enough. Me and Ped back in the studio on Monday. Look out for Ped's instant match reaction. He just texted me before I come on saying the bastards are back. And I'm presuming he means because we carried on when they had to play it down and little things like that. Or he might just mean in general, you beautiful bastards are back. I don't know. Have a look at his instant match reaction and he will tell you why. I've been Baz. I'll catch you next time on Toffee TV.